All right. Welcome, Solid Commission members, and over to you, Mr. Chair. And if you'd like, I could do a roll call for you.
That will be great, Kevin, if you can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Solid Commission is meeting 7 o'clock on May 6, 2025. I will start with Masood Rahib.
Present.
All right. And Ibrahim Turki.
Here.
Okay. Vice Chair Amja.
Present.
And Chair Azim.
Present.
All right, Mr. Chair, you have a quorum of 4, and we're hoping Juan Pablo Villalobos Garcia will join tonight, but it is over to you.
Thank you very much, Kevin. How is everybody doing?
Thank you.
Doing well.
Okay, our first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from last meeting. Is there any need for discussion? Okay, we are ready for voting. Everybody who wants to vote to approve, say yay.
Yay.
Jay.
Yay. Is there anybody who wants to does not agree with the minutes and wants to reject it?
I should abstain because I was in attendance last meeting, so that's okay.
Yes.
Sounds good. The motion approves with 3-0 voting and 1 abstain. Okay. The next item on the agenda is to discuss and answer any questions based on the previous salary reports. So we have had 2 salary commissions before, one in 2021 and one in 2023. I see Tony has a comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering, Faisal, since there's some new faces here, maybe could we do a round of introductions?
Great idea.
Yeah.
Why don't we start with you and then?
Sure. My name is Tony Tabora. I am a facilitator who's supporting this process, supporting chair and vice chair as needed. I'm here to do what is needed. I'll pass it on to you. Good, you can go ahead.
Sounds good. My name is Faisal Azim. This is my first time serving on a salary commission or any of these kind of boards. Yep, I was nominated the chair for this commission for this year. Madhiya, over to you.
Hi, my name is Madhiya Amjad, and I'm the vice chair of the committee. My background is in finance and accounting, and this is my first time serving on this board too. Over to Mr. Masood.
My name is Masood Rashid. This is also my first time serving on a commission like this, and happy to help. Be here to help. Let's call it this one. Over to Ibrahim.
My name is Ibrahim Turki. I am a retired Washington County employee. I was working in LET for 33 years before I retired about a couple of years ago. It is the first time to serve in a commission like this as well. Mary?
Thank you. My name is Mary Rowe, and I have worked in local government as an HR director for over 30 years before leaving Metro Regional Government in 2019 to start doing my own consulting. But while I was at Metro, I served on the Multnomah County Salary Commission for about 6 cycles. And so I was just asked by Ann Ober at Washington County to make myself available tonight to answer any questions you have and about the Salary Commission process, and maybe share some thoughts and things that we wrestled with when I was on the commission in Multnomah County.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Maybe, thanks, Audrey.
I think I'm the last one. My name is Adriana Ortega. I work in the Office of County Counsel here in Washington County, and I'm here to serve for any legal questions that come up, and will mostly be silent, hopefully.
And I'm the board, Kevin Moss. I serve the clerk's board for the commissioner, so I handle all their public meetings. And so I'm the staff support for this group. So welcome, everyone.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. And thanks, Johnny, for the reminder. So we were planning on looking at some past reports, since most of us, or all of us, are doing it for the first time to kind of learn from the past reports. And it's great that we have Mary to go over the Multnomah Survey Commission also. Do we want to start with the Multnomah Commission first, since we have Mary and she can give an overview?
Mary, are you?
Yeah. I'd be glad to do that. Sorry it was kind of last minute, but hopefully you all received a copy of the report this late this afternoon. And one of the reason I asked to have it sent out is it gives you an example of another style of way to draft the Salary Commission reports. And I was presented with some questions this week from the commission, and one of them was centered around that report. So somebody had done some research and looked out at that. One of the things that it's been I left Metro in 2019, so it's been 6 years since I was on Multnomah County Salary Commission. So it's morphed some over the time, but one of the things that we always tried to do with that was create this narrative. So one, it was easy to read and digest the information, but two, it answered questions about the methodology we use, so that if they ever found themselves in a position like what you're in now, a salary commission could go back and look and say, oh, this is why they made the decisions that they did. So we would contemplate what to do about things, and then try to include something about why we chose to proceed that way, or what we did in that situation. It's a little bit more narrative storytelling maybe than what Washington is with the large table structure, but either way is fine as far as meeting statute or requirements and that. Just so you document it. In that report, you will see that their county salary commission is charged with coming up with the salaries for all the elected officials, so looking at the sheriff and the DA and all, whereas Washington County, it focuses on just the commissioners and the council president. But one of the so in going through the how you want to proceed, one thing I would suggest is just figuring out what you want it to look like at the end. Start with the end in mind, and then what do you need to do to get there? You've got a lot of information with regards to salaries, internal and external data. So you really have probably most, if not all, of the information you need. So now it's, well, how do you review it and put it together? And a few of the things you may want to consider is, when you're looking at comparators, is are the jobs similar? So up until the last round of elections, City of Portland counselors were in charge of departments. They were the department heads, and there wasn't a city administrator. And now they have a more traditional form of government, where they've got the elected body, and they've got a city manager with reports up to them. So now it's similar to Washington County. So You know, for a long time, places might have ruled out the city of Portland because the commissioner's job was so different. I noticed that Oregon Metro, similar structure as these other entities, wasn't included. So you might want to put, you know, it was considered and it wasn't included because Washington County doesn't use it as a comparator for its other positions. At least that's what I was told when I asked their HR person. Or you may decide, well, it's similar size, so we want to go ahead and get the data and add it. You've got, in looking at the external data, you've got Clark County in there that's much lower. So do you include it or do you consider it an outlier? And that's sometimes when you have something that's so low, it's like, well, what's going on there? Is the job significantly different? Is the job considered part-time compared to full-time? So kind of looking for those outliers. It doesn't sound like when collecting the data that they really look at cost of healthcare PERS, and that's getting pretty granular. So most of your salary commissions probably don't look at it, but you might want to make a note that we were looking strictly at salary so that the next commission isn't kind of spinning its wheels, wondering what to do. Or maybe you'll all decide to come back and you'll be pros at it by the next time, and you know, and you'll remember what you did. Let's see. Oh, there was a question that was presented about regional salary data and the adjustments. So we're in Multnomah counties. And so some of the external comparators that Multnomah County used were for counties in Washington, Snohomish, Pierce County, such as the data that was collected for Washington County. And there's, if you look up regional cost of living adjustments, you'll find a number of websites where you can plug in your location and then plug in Pierce County or Tacoma, which is the largest city in Pierce County, and they'll tell you what the adjustment is, if it's plus 4.7% or minus 3.2%, and then you use that to adjust the salary. And so there's a couple that Forbes has one, and then PayScale has one. I think I put that back in an email when I was responding to the questions. And then, I went over that Metro wasn't included. They were all the comparators were considered full-time equivalency. There was something I noticed that past salary commission said that they used for, the closest internal position was assistant county administrator, but the salaries provided for internal was deputy, and their HR department said that they're moving to just having the deputy county administrator, and they're retiring the title of assistant. So that's where that discrepancy in titles come in. And so that's a question for you, are you strictly at external comparators and then using your bellwether, so to speak, of salary commissioners aren't above, or not salary commissioners, but the elected officials aren't above the county administrator, or do you want to put them on par, like at Multnomah County? For the commissioners, we just put them on par with the director one. They had different levels of directors, but it looks like past Washington County salary commissions went strictly on external data. And so those are some of the things to think about. If you have specific questions or want me to go through and the responses to any of those questions that were asked, I'm glad to do that.
I think Masood had a question.
Yes, I have actually a couple of questions. But now that you have mentioned about the last two commissions and have indicated that they have gone and their methodology and things like that, and I also looked at their comparatives, both internal and external, as much as I could. Size aside, there were the discrepancy between the salaries for the commissioner and the chair. There was a wide gap. If I'm going to plot it on a scale, there were 250,000 close, and then there was say 70-60,000 for chair too. So could you help me understand what would be the differences between the jobs, between, say, from Clark County all the way to Snohomish? Not Snohomish was not the one. There was a big one. There was another one that was paying 200 some to $36,000 to their chair. So I was wanted to know what was the differences that you can help us understand, because the comparators did not have those things listed.
Yeah. So I noticed, yeah, Multnomah County, there's a large difference, and for the commissioners, it was tied to the director level position, and the chair was not. But one, it's a very large county in the state, so commands a higher salary, and also that could be one where in some cases, so I don't remember specifically why the exact large discrepancy, but in some cases, commissioners are not considered full-time, but the chairs are considered or expected to work full-time. And so that could be the, I'd have to go back and
Can I add
look at,
something?
but I did notice
The
the
report and say
discrepancy.
full-time. It's this report. It does say
Yeah.
full. And I had the same question, that why is it like 65% more than the commissioners is what,
Yeah.
whereas none other chair was getting that much in any of the counties.
Yeah. Yeah, the I know in Metro, the commissioners were considered, their salary was based on being like half or 3/4 time and chair full-time, although the commissioners would all tell you they worked full-time, you know, and you would see them around all the time. So sometimes that can influence it if there's a discrepancy in what they're envisioned to be working.
I have one more question, and that is a clarifying question for Faisal as a chair to and for other people to clarify for me. Mary, you mentioned that healthcare and benefits are not included, but we can make a note of it. I wanted to clarify and confirm with the Washington County folks that the only charter that we have is to define the base salary for next 2 years. We are not considering anything in terms of the benefits, or any of the perks. We are not talking about their government cars. We are not talking about anything else at all. It is just the base salary we are setting up.
I had the same question in my email too, that if the stipends and the reimbursements, are we adding that, or is just base salary again? Yeah, I have that question too.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I
Well,
think the precedent has been, it's only been the salary that has been set, just the base salary. But Adriana,
Yeah.
maybe more?
Yes, according to the purpose of the bylaws, the commission sets the salary. So that is all that is defined and noted on there.
My understanding was that we can take the information into account to come to our conclusion or recommendation, but we are only setting the salary.
Thank you.
That makes sense. I want to go back to the question asked about the chair for Multnomah County, and I just was looked at the notes in their salary survey and or the salary commissioner's report, excuse me, and their notes, and they said that they didn't feel the external market was an adequate comparison for the chair, because the chair serves as the county CEO budget officer, and I'd forgotten that piece. And we had used external comparators, but the more recent salary commissions changed that to where they anchored it at 85% of the department director 2 level salary. And so that's why the discrepancy there, or, you know, compared to other chairs. And that leads to if you're talking to the commissioners, and I would encourage you to invite commissioners to a future meeting along with with Chair Harrington, and you know, to ask them, is there anything unique about the roles at Washington County that they're aware of versus other counties, or is there anything that maybe they didn't make prior salary commissions aware of that they would like to add, just so you get a sense of the differences in the commission's role here. And I don't know if there is any unique differences to them, you know, or they what are the expected hours you know, per week. Is anyone, I don't think anyone chairing a department there, but that would be you know, or running a department, having department directors report directly to them versus the county administrator, but that would be something to ask. And if any of them have experience, you know, with other areas where they might be able to compare anything unique about theirs. Sometimes it's the size of the agency, you know, how does Washington County compare in size? It's probably, my guess is it's probably bigger than Snohomish County, but I don't know that for a fact, so.
So one thing I noticed in the Multnomah report was there were a couple of, so it seems like you guys, like in the Multnomah report, they compared similar sized counties in Oregon and Washington, except they did not include Clark and Spokane counties. I think Clark County you mentioned might have been an outlier. Do you know why Spokane was not included?
Offhand, I don't. My guess would be size, or that it was considered geographically different. I can kind of take a look through the report and see, but if anything jumps out at me now, but in just trying to remember why it was excluded. No, I don't remember offhand.
Okay. I know I had a couple of other questions. Yeah, so how do so for the external data that we will be looking at today, do we know if that is all for the same year, or is it possible that it's actually across different years?
The external data, Cassandra in the HR department responded, said it was all current for July 2024.
Perfect. I saw in the external data, or should we maybe share the external data here and then we can ask questions, or maybe before going there, we can see if anybody else has any questions for Mary?
I am also confused about the external comparators. It says proposed by Salary Commission for fiscal year 26-27 in Multnomah County.
Yeah, that was confusing to me also. So, but maybe before going there, let's see if anybody else has any question for Mary. Ibrahim, Masood, anybody else has any questions?
I don't at this time.
Mary, thank you so much for your perspective and the information. I think that's very helpful, at least for me, and I'm sure it's helpful. Oh, I see Masood is raising his
Yeah, I
hand.
do have a question now that you have said that no questions. I was actually looking at the report, the Multnomah County report that you have sent out to us, and you know what? Faisal, you're right. Before we go to that county report, the Multnomah County report, let's have any other chance. Anybody else who wants to ask a question? Otherwise, I have a question about the Multnomah County report. And Madhya, she asked the question first, so she would go first.
I have the same questions I emailed, that we have to just decide we are just doing the base salary, and that does not include any IAP programs and any other benefits. We are not doing that, making adjustments for that, or are we making adjustments? Because I think I saw somewhere that the PERS was added somewhere in a document.
My understanding from looking at the reports and some of the meetings that they had before was that they were looking at PERS as input data, but their recommendations primarily were for the actual survey.
Oh.
Masood, why don't you ask the question for the...
The question is regarding the report that was sent out this afternoon about the Multnomah County, and I was looking at it. Besides the question that it was for fiscal year 26-27, the other question that I had was, when I was looking through it or glancing through it, it was most of the years that what they have done is they have provided a COLA adjustment only, and then made it official that way. Why that decision was made, Mary, if you can help me understand. And at that time, when they only they voted for making the COLA adjustments, did they not look at the external internal comparators, or what was the circumstances there? Because that didn't come through on the report itself.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand the question. If you could repeat it again.
So in the report, let me kind of pull it up so I can ask the question referring to the pages. On the page 3, if you look at it, it was current salary and the salary for 24-25, and then 25-26. The 25-26 is only COLA adjustment. And that's where my question is, that what happened from in 25-26 commission? Why would they only consider COLA and move on? And what were the circumstances when they only decided to look at the COLA and nothing more, no other adjustment?
Well, it looks like if in this report, they have their current salary, the salary 24-25, that they are, so for July 1st, they are setting it at 144, moving it from 131 to 144, say for county commissioner, plus the COLA that other directors will be getting that year, and then doing this, and then in 2020, they're considering that, okay, if we make this adjustment up to 144 for 24-25, that then they'll be in the place they should be, and so 25-26, they only need to receive the COLA that the other non-represented employees get, and that will keep them where they should be.
So maybe they are actually adding COLA on the 2024-25 salary as well. And
yeah, so they're saying here's the base plus whatever COLA everybody gets.
Right. I think the way I understood is that so they're a year ahead of us. So when they were doing it, they probably looked at the salaries for 23-24 and came up an adjustment based on that, and then they added COLA on top of that for the upcoming year. This is kind of what I understood.
Yeah, the report's dated April 26th, which would be before the COLAs take effect, generally July 1st. And so they were looking at April of 2024, the salary was 131, and they felt it should be adjusted up to, their recommendation to adjust it up to 144 plus whatever COLA others got, so that it would stay in the same relationship to the department directors that they anchored it to.
And my understanding, and maybe some overview of COLA. So COLA is meant to take care of whatever the living adjustment kind of year to year. And I think this is
Yeah.
not guaranteed for the elected officials, but guaranteed for the non-elected official. Is that the right way to
It's
understand
not
it?
necessarily guaranteed for employees. It's for the represented employees, those represented by unions and have a collective bargaining agreement, it'll be spelled out in that agreement for the life of the COLA, and or for the life of the contract, excuse me, how much the COLA is going to be. And then for non-represented, then the commissioners have to approve the salaries and
I see.
the adjustments. Generally, it's the same as what represented are getting, so that you keep the same ratio and the same difference. And then for the elected officials, and the salary commission is making the recommendation, which usually then that's approved, but you're wanting to keep that, so it's not guaranteed. It's got to be approved each time in part of the budget process.
And is the COLA, of course, I'm assuming it changes year to year, but is it tied to a particular region also? Is it the same for all of Oregon, or is it on a per county basis? Like, what's the?
Yeah, each agency can determine what they're going to use, and but most of them are using the consumer price index for West Coast, and
Yes.
that's what Washington County uses. That was
Okay.
verified by their HR person.
I see.
Question that I have is for the Washington County people. Did the chair and the commissioners received COLA last year, which would be the second year for the 2023 commission salary adjustment?
I'm looking back to see if I can see anything in their report. That might be a question you'll have to go back to the HR department with.
That's why I was hoping that either Ariana or Tony or Kevin can take that question. So here is my question specifically. In 2023, Washington County actually set the salaries for chair and the commissioners. Then in 2024, it was supposed to be 2 years, but did they receive last year a COLA?
So in the report, I see that they recommend COLA. So they basically did a overall 4% increase. 2% was adjustment, and 2% they said COLA. So they work it out that way. The thing that was interesting to me is that instead of relying on whatever the COLA is going to be that year, they actually said that we are assigning a fixed percentage instead of like whatever the COLA going to be next year. So they did try to account for that, but instead of just saying COLA, they gave a 2%.
But did not
And
include COLA.
In the report from, let's see, 20, yeah, it lists it out for the next year, but it does appear that they traditionally receive the COLA. It's in the salary commission's report.
I don't know the answer, but I can find out. I might be able to find out even during our meeting and relay the answer to that question.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One other question for Mary that I just remembered. So when you were looking at possible external comparators, did you think about using Idaho or California also, or there were enough cases between Oregon and Washington that there was no need to do that?
Yeah, we did not consider well, we talked about some others outside of Washington and Oregon. People will come up with you know, well, there's this county that I know that is very similar or something, but we just felt that it was introducing too many variables. Idaho, the counties are generally much smaller. Population-wise, California, once again, you're introducing yet another cost of living and different ways of doing business and all. Even amongst public entities, there's some different regulations, and also we just felt that the more local would probably be sufficient and the most accurate.
Makes sense. And then Multnomah report did use the cost of like the geographical cost of living when they were kind of trying to do a comparison. Washington has not. Is there like a recommendation from your experience, like what you think is a better way
Well,
to?
it looks like Washington County did include, you know, it's the salary commission every 2 years, and so in the next year that they did include a COLA, a cost of living
COLA, but
adjustment.
a geographical based difference.
Oh, well, it's once you have your base salary, if you're adjusting that so that you're comfortable with your base salary, and you've adjusted that for geographical differences, the assumption would be it's not going to change that much years, and that if you put your COLA on that you're going to stay relatively equal for that 2 years, and that you would want to check the regional adjustments then the next time you met, if you're using
So I was talking about just
comparators
the initial
for others
adjustment.
now.
So my question was more on the initial adjustment itself, not on COLA. Like for just the initial
Oh, okay.
adjustment itself, I don't think that the Washington Salary Commission was doing any geographical adjustment, but Multnomah County
Yeah, I
was.
didn't see.
So
Yeah,
just
I
wanted to
didn't
get
see
your
that in
perspective on
there.
that.
Yeah, I didn't see that in there for Washington County either. And that's where you'll just, you know, that would be a good thing for this commission to decide, you know, are you gonna do are you gonna use Washington state counties to begin with? You may
That's
say,
true.
well,
Once
there
we
is the
decide which
reason.
county, but that
Yeah,
makes sense.
there is the regional adjustment. We don't feel that they really size wise or that comparable or whatever, the expectations are that comparable. You may decide to eliminate them, or if you decide to use them, you can say we did look at, you know, at pay scale or Forbes for cost of living regional adjustments, and this is what we've done with those salaries, or you considered it, decided not to. But I would say just make sure you have a note in there as to the rationale for that decision.
That's a
Mary,
good one.
I do have another question, and that is purely as a HR person that you are. Question is this: if the same job description is being posted from year after year after year, and you have been asked to do the market study on that job, how do you decide to change the salary from 1 year to another year to another year, as if the job description does not change?
There's sometimes there will be market factors where it's like for a while, IT people were very scarce, and so they could command a high salary. There's still, but then the market shifted to where more people were deciding, no, IT is a really good field to get into, and so they couldn't command quite the same salary compared to other positions. So that's why you do your market comparison to make sure. So we might decide to adjust a salary based on market factors, the supply and demand, and it's like, oh, this job warrants a lot more pay right now. Engineers are very scarce and hard to find generally, so they can an agency might decide, well, we need to increase the salary for our engineers and negotiate that if they're represented with the union. For any positions that are represented, you have to negotiate it. And so you might go through that process to adjust the salary.
It looks like Adriana might have an answer for us.
Yes, I don't have a precise answer. I have a 0.99%. However, I do understand that Chair Harrington and Commissioner Treese are on the line with us. And so I think they can answer the question if the chair wishes to hear from them.
So we were planning on discussing whether we want to interview the commissioners or not. After looking at the reports and going through this, I personally feel that we should take that opportunity. So before opening the floor to them, what is the feeling of other board members or commission members?
I agree. I was thinking the same.
I'm not ready to ask questions because I'm still in the mode of discovering the what type of what is the actual what are we actually deciding for them. Yes, I know that they will tell us that what type of work they do. That is the job description. But I don't know how I'm going to hear them out and then make a decision that this year, instead of 135, they should get 165. I don't know how to even ask those questions.
So Masood, let's not try to make a decision on our final recommendation, but let's take this opportunity to understand their roles and any other questions we have. I think one of the questions we already asked, how the role of a chair is different or how much different it is. So I think maybe those kind of things we can
Also, we
start
can
with, and we can ask one.
how this year is different than last year's. What roles have increased or decreased responsibility?
We can certainly ask those questions.
Yeah, and just to be clear, my suggestion was for the discrete question about whether the commissioners took the COLA in prior years.
Oh, okay.
I understand you're probably not ready to do your full interview, but just that specific question.
So do we want to open it for a bigger interview, or should we hold those off for later meetings?
If all the other folks are ready to hear and ask questions, then let's not wait, because we have a very short window of opportunity before we need to actually present to the board our findings.
Adriana, would the chair Harrington be kind of ready? We don't want to just throw it on her. Also, is the expectation that we should think of the questions and give them a heads up on what those questions are before the interview? If that is the case, we can do that today and then do the interviews later. What do you think?
Right. So she is actually attending. She's an attendee on our current call.
Okay.
And so we would just, I guess Kevin would work the magic to have her be able to speak. And again, my recommendation was just for that specific question about the COLA, to give, of course, the commission the opportunity to prepare for a full interview.
Sounds good. Kevin Mouse, can you make Chair Harrington up his
Yes, I can.
Thank you so much.
Join momentarily here.
Just to confirm, are we doing full or just specific?
Just specific for today.
Good evening, Chair Harrington. Cannot hear you, Chair Harrington.
Thank you, because I was very careful to mute my speakers so I wouldn't make any mistakes. Hello, my name is Catherine Harrington. I'm the elected chair of the Washington County Board of Commissioners. I am not here tonight to give you an overview of my responsibilities as chair. Rather, I was planning on speaking to you during public comment to share with you that I think you should interview us. But the reason I'm not ceding my opportunity to do that another time. Rather, I've heard a few things tonight that are not correct answers to your questions. But I'll stick to the one that Adriana wanted me to address. With the Salary Commission that provided their report to us at the May 23rd, 2023 meeting, that was for FY24 and FY25, because Salary Commissions in Multnomah and Washington County do the work on a 2-year basis. That's one of the things I wanted to clear up from a mistake earlier. In your case, you're here to set the salary and the salary only. That is per the voter approved charter, which is why you have the bylaws that say it's just salary. To your question specifically about the COLA. So the COLA that went into developing the proposed budget, which later turned into the adopted budget in June of 2023, had a 3.5% COLA for unrepresented employees who were not at the executive level. The executive level employees chose to not take COLA for at least that budget year. We, on the commission side, the Salary Commission made their recommendation you'll have to go back and look at the minutes, and our staff can do that for you to determine why the Salary Commission chose to split it up over 2 years and 2 separate ingredients of salary increase and COLA separately. A few of us on the commission chose to support the same executive level, don't take COLA for that budget year. And so myself, Commissioner Treese at least, did not take COLA for that year. And so for the subsequent year, we were restored back to the full salary level with the COLA from there. But that was as a show of solidarity and support to limit the budget gap that we had in that one specific budget year. So I hope I've stuck to answering that question, Adriana, and I'm more than willing to step back now.
Chair, does that answer your question?
That answered my question. Thank you so much, Chair Harrington. You did
welcome.
mention that there were a couple of some other things you might have noticed, which we might not have gotten the right answer or discussed. If there's any particular correction you want to make now without ceding
You were
your paper time.
asking about the 2-year recommendation that the Multnomah County Salary Commission made, as well as it also applied to Washington County. And that's because the salary commissions are asked to do the work for 2 fiscal years. Okay, rather than make you do the same thing every single fiscal year.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's why in the second year of Multnomah County, the recommendation was just the COLA. So they do the base salary reset every other year and add COLA in that year and then the following year. Or that's what their recommendation did. Okay. I'm not trying to explain why they set it up on those particular parameters. I wasn't there. I'd have to just do the same thing you do, read their minutes and read the report. So that was the first one. And the second one was you were questioning, is it just salary? Is the full benefits package? It's just salaries per what the voters approved.
Thank you so much. That's great.
Thank you, Chair Harrington.
Thank you. Bye-bye. I'll see you later.
Yeah. Any other questions on either the previous reports or external data?
Chair, it looks like Commissioner Treese, who's also attending as a participant, has also raised her hand.
Sure. Let's invite to see what she has to say.
Clerk Moss.
Yes, she'll be rejoining. Commissioner Treese, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you. And thank you, Chair Harrington, for your comments. The one piece that I would like to add in listening to your discussions with Mary regarding the scope of work and what it is that the commissioners do, I would just like to encourage you to look at the working relationship to Clean Water Services and serving on the board of directors there. That didn't, I have not seen that represented here. And that's the addition that I would like to make. I think it's an important component that you should be considering as well.
Thank you so much for pointing that out.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I sign off, I just want to say thank you for your work. It's very valuable, and I appreciate the fact that you have volunteered your time to do this work. So thank you.
I do have a question. Could you clarify this this Clean Water Services participation or the connection that you just tried to establish? I know about the reports from the recent Oregonians, etc. But then I would like you to tell me about this connection and the understanding that you have tried to give us right now.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Did you, Mr. Azim, did you want to answer that?
I was thinking, should we keep that for the full interviews? Or Ms. Uju, is there a short answer that you want to cover today?
I can give you a very short answer.
Go ahead.
That is that the commissioners for Washington County also serve as the board of directors for Clean Water Services. That is the scope of our work, and that's the umbrella of our work. So you can dig into what that means through your interviews, but that at least gives you a perspective of what the scope is.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And again, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Trees. I see Commissioner Harrington has a hand raised. Kevin, can we ask her to join?
Yes. Can you hear us, Chair Harrington?
Yes, and I'm sorry to jump back in, but it's my understanding with Clean Water Services Legal that you cannot actually do that because we have a separate job as the board of directors for a special service district of Clean Water Services, which is a 451. And the Oregon regulated statutes determine the maximum daily salary that special district board of directors are provided. So I don't want you to do anything that is not legal. So Adriana is not expected to understand all the requirements of an ORS 451 organization or a special district. As she is as an attorney for Washington County. So that's why I raised my hand.
Thank you so much, Chair Harrington. I'm sure that we will have some questions about that once we do the interview. Thank you for pointing that out. So something for us to look into. Okay. Do we have any other questions on the external data or any of the past reports, either from Washington or Multnomah? I myself have, sorry, go ahead.
I had just one that I just wanted to confirm that the Washington County Commissioners are now full-time, because in the 2021 report, they are part-time, and then it was adjusted, the salary I noticed, and they're still full-time.
My understanding is they are all full-time.
Thank you. Kevin, is it okay for me to share the external data here, or should I just point out to the page number I have a question on?
You can share it. You should have full authority to share.
Okay. let me know when you guys can see.
Yeah, we can see.
So one thing that was not clear to me is, so we have the data per county or city. We have a commissioner data chair, and then we have this additional adjustment. What is that covering? Is it covering for the next year, or is it some other part of the financial benefit? That's not, I didn't see any comments, so I wasn't sure where that is coming from. And it was, in some cases, it's like the same. For example, for Spokane, the adjusted additional versus the salary is the same. In some other cases, like Multnomah County, there's a difference. So it was not clear to me what this is.
So my understanding, if when I looked at the 2021 report, that the adjustments are stipends and reimbursements for fuel, and in this report they have phone and car.
Yeah, I didn't want to make that assumption. That's why I thought I will just explicitly ask. And if we don't have the answer here, we can kind of take it offline and get an answer from.
Mary, did you get an answer? Was that a question that we got an answer to from Cassandra?
You know, I was looking at the answers, and it said, one of the questions was, what is the additional adjustment for comparators? And the response was just the table and logic were created by the previous salary commission. The ask of the classification and compensation team was to create what was previously administered. But as we just heard from Chair Harrington, the charge of the salary commission is to look at just the salaries. So if those in fact are the salaries that, you know, the original 149 and 247, then that's what should be considered. But it wasn't clear in the response from HR when it says that they just recreated what was in the past, you know, what that was.
Okay.
So, Mary, are we saying then that that first two columns salary is the one that we should be comparing against, as opposed to the additional adjusted?
If those adjustments, somebody had just suggested that those adjustments were for things like car and phone, and if that's the case, then they shouldn't be considered. But I think, you know, the response from Cassandra was just that the class and comp team that worked on this was told to recreate was previously administered. So I would ask the HR team for a little more detail on that.
That will be great if they can answer. So I agree that if we are only setting the salary, then maybe that's what we should take into account, but it'll be good to get that clarification.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mary. So so you guys will find the answer and let us know, I'm assuming?
Yes, I'll take charge of I'll coordinate an answer for you all.
Thank you so much, Tony. Okay. One last call if there are any other questions left, either on the internal or external data or any of the reports. Okay. I think with that, I will call that agenda item done. Thanks a lot, Mary, for joining and giving us your perspective. Thank you also for Washington County board members for clarifications and information, and Tony for your clarifications as well, and Kevin for supporting us. So the next item.
Do you want me to stay on the meeting at all or not? Or
it's up. I don't think we have any particular questions for you, Mary. If you want to stay as a public, you can. Otherwise, feel free to drop.
Okay, if there's anything that comes up later on, feel free to reach out to me, and Tony's got my contact information.
Sounds good. The next
Okay,
item.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care. The next item on the agenda was presentation and discussion of the market analysis. I think we have kind of combined those two items together. So if there are anybody thinks we need to spend any more time, or should we move on to the next item? Are we okay moving on to the next item?
Discuss the internal and external audit.
Okay. The next item on the agenda was, what is our strategy going to be for interviewing? So I think we were thinking in the last meeting whether we should do the interviews or not, but going through the past minutes and reports, and also I think with the fact that the previous two commissions had some overlap in terms of members, and our commission is completely new, I think. So even more, to me, this is a good opportunity for us to kind of improve our understanding so that we can do a better job with our recommendation. So I feel strongly that we should take the opportunity of interviewing the commissioners.
I agree.
Okay. This is not something that we need to take a vote on, but we are all agreed. So I think that makes it easy. Tony, you already had a schedule of potential interview.
Well, we didn't have an exact schedule, so I think that one of the questions that we probably need to answer is how long do you anticipate you'd want to interview each? So we'd have 4 commissioners and the chair. So how long do you need for each interview? And then, maybe for you to get a sense of the questions that you want to ask. And I'm happy to share, I did watch a little bit of some of the previous, it's very simple questions that you've already said. So
I have not gone through all the interviews of the recordings of past, but I watched a couple of interviews. My personal feeling is that somewhere between 12 to 15 minutes is what I would target. Probably 10 to 12 minutes for them to give the overview, and maybe a few minutes for us to ask any questions that we need. But I'm open to other people's feedback.
Since the time is going to be a little bit limited, because we have to present our final report pretty soon. So therefore, probably the only opportunity we will have is the next commission meeting. And having the 5 people come in for 15 minutes, that is hour and a half, or at least close to that one. So I would say that my recommendation to the commission is going to be limit it to about 7 minutes for their presentation, about 3 minutes for us. That will still put us at 50 minutes, and then we will have some conversations around what we find out from their interviews. Only if all the 5 people are going to be providing their thoughts to us, that why should we reset their base salary once at this time? Why should not we just continue with some other adjustments?
I was going to suggest 7 to 10 minutes too. I think 15 is too long. It'll take up all the time. And we won't be able to conclude anything, the answers to those questions.
Are we thinking the interviews are individual for each commissioner and the chair, or they're all coming together at the same time?
They have been individual in the past. I think it's a better thing to do them individually myself, going through the interviews. I think based on when we need to do that, I think the schedule that Tony showed, the interviews was actually spread over 2 different meetings.
yes,
And
I did propose that, but I was worried about it because I didn't think that was necessarily going to be enough time. So if we could make next week's meeting long enough where we could do all the interviews within that time, however long that you think, I feel like that would actually be a more ideal schedule. That way you could dedicate the last 2 meetings to discussing and actually maybe starting to have the beginnings of the draft report, because you'll have to finalize it pretty soon after that. So
sounds good. I'm okay targeting a time of 10 minutes or total, and maybe with that 10-minute buffer, I guess. in case needed, and then we can target. So Tony, you can work with the Washington County Commissioners to see whether the time will work for them.
Yes, once we know when we're exactly trying to schedule, I think Clerk Moss can help us schedule with the commissioners. Would you want to consider just adding like maybe 15 minutes to next week's meeting, just to have a little bit of space for scheduling and a little bit of debrief time? So making it from 7 to maybe 8:45.
I would be okay with that.
I'll be okay with that.
I have a question. Does the whole quorum need to be there for when the interviews start? Because if the commission wants to push the time back, if I join in 15 minutes late, everybody else can start at 6:45 even, and I can join when I'm available at 7.
I think given the number of us is pretty small, I think I would rather you join as well. And then we can take it to 8:45 if needed, if other people are okay with that also.
I'm okay with that.
Go with that as well.
Sounds perfect. Thank you guys for being so flexible.
So I will update the timeline with this information of putting all the interviews in next week's meeting. So that will be the main agenda. We won't.
Yeah,
do
I
anything.
think that will take care of most of the meeting. That makes sense. Sorry.
Yeah, I would stagger the interviews and set aside time for each of the commissioners, because if you invite them all attending, then you're moving into a quorum that I have to notice for a public board meeting with the commissioners. So I would stagger that time just to avoid that pitfall.
So can you help us schedule those sort of staggered times with the commissioners, Kevin?
Yes, I will work with their staff assistants and the commissioners this week to see what we can make available based on what day you tell me you would like these interviews.
Yes, so it'll be next Tuesday, sometime between 7 and 8:45.
Okay.
And the expectation is that we should give them a heads up of the kind of questions that we are already thought of.
I think that would be nice.
So I had a list of questions that I was thinking I will ask them, but is that something we can do on email if people are okay with? We can kind of discuss that, and maybe by, let's say, in 2 days, by Thursday, finalize the question so that they have a little bit of time to think about it also. Will that be okay for everybody? I can start that email thread after the meeting today. Perfect. That takes care of the agenda for us for strategy of our interviews. Thank you, guys. Discussion of the commission timeline of activities is the next item on the agenda. So I spent some time over the weekend going through the past commissions and how they were coming up with the reports and stuff. I feel there's like 3 focus areas maybe that we need to that might make sense to divide into subcommittees on, and we can, and maybe with the discussion we'll figure out maybe that number is not right. So at a high level, we want to do a review of the external comparators and think about how we want to do any adjustments based on that. Then we can do the same thing for the internal comparators to see, do we want to use them kind of as the actual recommendation, or whether we want to use them to see any concerns about the current salaries and things like that based on how closely the function match. And then the final report itself, what the format of the report is going to look like. I think the past salary commissions have done a good job to give us a good template to start with, but it'll be good to kind of start figuring out whether we want to look at the Multnomah report, or whether we want to look at Washington County, or kind of maybe create something that makes sense. So I was going to propose that we divide into 3 different committees that can work offline and then come back with a recommendation maybe in 2 weeks. So the next meeting, we will not go there, but the meeting after that, we can come back with our recommendations and kind of a template of the report. I'm very open to like how people want to do it. Given these will be committees and not open meetings, we will divide into group of twos. So I will open for volunteers. First, let's talk about what committees we think make sense. And committee, like, I'm not saying like, it's like not a huge running committee. It's basically just allow two people to work together to come up with a recommendation. The committee will not be making any decisions, just getting the information, and but then we can work more effectively that way. Feel free the floor to be open to people who want to volunteer for, and then I can be on the committee that's not there, I guess.
So you have mentioned three different distinct areas. So let's call them out one at a time, and so we can just raise our hands and say that we will participate on that one.
Sounds good. I will start with the one that I think I will get the least volunteers on, or the hardest one, which is the template report. Who are the two people who want to take the lead on the final report?
I'll take the lead on it.
Okay.
I can.
Okay, Madhya, I will work with you and see what we can do. Where can we copy with pride?
Sounds great. The second one was the external comparators. Based on the reports that I have seen and some of the meeting recordings I went through, it seems like people paid more attention to that. So to me, that's the more important one than the internal. But so Ibrahim, since you and I haven't volunteered yet, do you want to work with me on that?
Yeah.
Perfect. And then a third was for the internal to see if there's any adjustment or any concerns we want to see based on the functions. I think that one probably should not do any work until we have gone through the interviews and have gotten some understanding of the functions and stuff. But kind of yeah, so basically maybe two other people can recommend for that and see whether there's any adjustment they think we should do based on that and why.
Since commission, the participants of the commission are just four of us, then and all four have divided ourselves in two committees. Now we have to kind of pick one from each. So now we just kind of need to see who two people wanted to be on two committees rather than just on one committee.
Yep.
Or maybe we can, after the next meeting, come up like together with ideas. Everybody can email ideas.
Skip to.
After the question and answer.
So if we want, we can decide on that committee in the next meeting. But to me, it will be more effective for a couple of people to just look on the site and come back, so that it's sometimes like just multiple people looking at the data for the first time becomes maybe a less effective way to work. So I would still rather two people look at it and then kind of come back with some. But we can decide to pick the committee for in the next meeting if you guys prefer that. Okay. Any other areas you guys think that we are missing, or you guys think that should pretty much cover it? That's all that I could think of.
Yeah, it's basically the external comparators I'm seeing, and at the end of them, they have also shown the median and the average, and how the commissioners are getting a little bit less than the median salary, whereas the chair is getting more than the median salary.
Sure, and I think that's where we will actually look at the data in 2V and we can discuss that. I'm assuming that Ibrahim and I will come back. We will come back with our recommendation on what we should follow, as well as what our rationale behind it. And then as a group in the meeting, we can decide what makes sense to us. Okay. In terms of timeline, go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, do you want me to share screen of the
That will be great. Yep.
So I've just been updating it based on this conversation.
Thank you so much.
So you can let me know what order, especially for Thursday, May 22nd of the agenda.
So for the for the next meeting, maybe add one other agenda that we said, like finalize the internal review committee. We can add that on the agenda. And then for the Thursday meeting, approve previous meeting notes, discuss the use of external comparator, discuss the use of internal comparator, discuss salary. Yeah, I think this looks pretty good to me. Anybody think that we are missing anything? Okay, and then I do want to have one meeting where we go over the report and kind of like try to finish it. And yeah, so I think to me it makes sense that the Wednesday, May 28 is that one item.
The final item to do.
Just out of curiosity, me and Madhya and you have taken the sidebar committees that we both are going to both groups are going to work and come back. Are we not going to discuss on next Tuesday's 7 o'clock meeting, or how are we going to provide that feedback to you? It needs to be agenda topic.
That's on Thursday. You see, on Thursday we have the reports from all three committees coming in.
Yeah, we can do that.
Sounds good. Okay. Any other feedback on this before we move on? Okay. The last item on the agenda is the public comment. Kevin, I need your help to get people in and
Yes.
get feedback.
So I was made aware that Chair Harrington would like to provide public comment for up to 2 minutes. So
Perfect.
bring her back in.
Thank you.
Can you hear us, Chair Harrington?
Yeah, sorry. Yes, sorry, it took me a minute. My phone rang for county business. Thank you very much for serving on this committee. I have a few things I'd like to share. Once again, reiterate that your charge is to determine salary. Secondly, I'm a little disturbed to hear about this deadline, which I understand to be completely arbitrary. We don't need it for the budget. It's not defined by the charter. It's not defined by your bylaws. I believe someone set it arbitrarily. Talking with my colleagues in our recent public meeting, not today, but earlier, we believe it's important that you have the time to do a quality job that you think is right and not a rush job. Related to that, asking us to provide time next Tuesday is not humanly reasonable. We are in the depths of having the 2 agency budgets. We have a Senate District 13 meeting tomorrow night. Next Monday night, we have 2 evening meetings related to the budget. Then next Wednesday and Thursday, we have all-day budget committees. This follows this Friday, we have an all-day budget committee. We are flat out working hard, wicked tired. I think you want us to give thoughtful answers to your questions. Adriana, your Washington County legal advisor, will have to give you advice as to whether or not you can deliberate over email with regard to putting the list of questions together over email. I'm not going to give you my opinion on Oregon public meeting laws. I'll also say that the 10% for the chair salary was set on an arbitrary basis. I also think another important factor you need to take into account is how much staff support we do or don't have. Multnomah County District Commissioners have between 2 and 3 full-time people that help them do their job. We don't have that. And we need it desperately, but this is now our 5th year of cutback budgets. So we're making a choice to keep staff to do direct county service for our community and not giving ourselves more staff, even though we desperately need it. So those are my minimal comments. I very much look forward to reading your questions and providing you thoughtful answers to those. So one reason why I want you to do that is because having read the minutes for the 2 different prior salary commissions, I did not do a good enough job to make sure that the salary commissions understand how I actually spend my time. And that's where I want to do a better job this time around, to give you the realities. It's more than a full-time job. Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question here, Kevin?
You
Or-
certainly can.
From your perspective, Chair Harrington, how much time do you think that you need to give us an overview? And maybe you could answer some quick questions.
This is where I want to, I think your time frame of 10 to 15 minutes is reasonable, as long as we have some idea of what kind of information you would like to discern. And one of those might just be other information that we want to make sure we have shared with you, because we have access to the past minutes just like every member of the community does. So it's on us to do a good job as well. And we're each individuals with different learning styles, different communication styles. So you're going to see that loud and clear.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for serving on this volunteer committee.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. All right. Would any other member on the Zoom call wish to provide public comment for up to 2 minutes? Give you just a second to utilize the raise hand function. Not seeing any other hands, Mr. Chair.
So given the information that we just got from Chair Harrington, Adriana, do you want to go back and share the agenda? So yeah, it's the plan for the next meeting. Sorry, not the agenda.
I just wanted to note that the bylaws do require the commission's recommendations to be issued by the 30th of June. So we do have, I guess, that in our bylaws. And I don't know, I guess, Tony, you can chime in if that's going to change. And I'm sorry, Chair, what did you want me to do?
Yeah, so I think we heard from Chair Harrington that she would not be able to do the interview. Like it's not practical for her to be able to do the interview on May 13th.
Right.
So we already know that the schedule needs some modifications already. So just wanted to see, should we spend some time on, so last week when we had discussed the schedule, we had said that this is the ideal schedule that we want to follow. However, based on how things are going, we can possibly shift it out by 2 weeks to meet, and that should still work with the timelines that the bylaws require and meet the June 30th report.
Yes.
So,
And Mr. Chair, if I may,
go ahead.
you could also, I was checking the commissioners' calendars. If you wanted, you could create a special meeting for just interviews alone on Tuesday, May 20th, if you wanted to do that to help your timeline. But it's purely in your decision-making capabilities.
And do you think that would work for the commissioners based on their schedule?
Yes, they have a long day of budget committee meetings, but their evenings are currently free for that evening.
That sounds good to me. Let's do that. What do we want to cover in the next? Should we just move this meeting to that, or do we have anything that will be useful to discuss in the next meeting? Then I'm thinking that trying to discuss the external internal comparators may not be feasible before the interviews, or may not be as useful, I guess. We can look at the report format if we want, or do we want to? But I don't want to rush into that also. So should we just switch the meeting on May 13th to May 20th instead, and just do the interviews then and
So
keep
then,
the
just to clarify, Chair, that would mean you would have 2 meetings in that week, the 20th.
Yeah, we won't have any meeting next week, but we'll have 2 meetings in the week after. just wanted to get, not saying we should do that, but wanted to get the opinion of the board.
So my suggestion would be that make the May 13th meeting to be short, so we can and look at the questions that we may come up, and maybe discuss them not via email, but look at them in real time and see if those questions do make sense, and should we be concentrating on some other aspects of the interviews that we want to conduct. That is just a suggestion. Make it short and just do that.
I like the idea. I'll add one more item on that as well. So if people have questions on what the report looks like, and if you guys, so we can cover that as well before you guys spend too much time creating the draft. So I think that probably is useful also. So we'll basically, in the next meeting, we'll have a short meeting. We will cover the questions we want to ask in our interviews, as well as any questions that either of the committees have, either in terms of report or in terms of the external comparators. We'll cover those things there. That makes sense to me. Anything else, Madhya or Ibrahim, you guys want to add?
Not on this subject. I do have a question about the limitation of exchanging information or ideas via email.
My understanding was that we can discuss things on the email, but anything that is between more than two people is considered a public meeting and will be available to public. That was the only limitation that I was aware of. But please, Adriana.
Yeah, I'm looking at the administrative rule. It says a quorum of the members of a governing body shall not, outside of a meeting conducted in compliance with public meetings law, use a series of communications of any kind directly or through intermediaries for the purpose of deliberating or deciding on any matter that is within the jurisdiction of the governing body. So I think it's a question about whether there will be any decision making or deliberation.
So before we go there, Rana, the definition that was given to us in the first meeting, the way I interpreted it is that the email communication can also be interpreted as a public meeting. So
Correct.
what I was proposing was that let our email thread be a public meeting in itself, and not try to decide whether we make a decision or not. But our email, so basically the email that we will be, and I think that maybe is good to also clarify. My thinking was that the email where we will discuss anything at all between the whole board should be considered an open meeting, and people should be aware of that will be available for public record. Is there a concern with that?
I don't, I see what you're saying and I agree with it, but this is not my area of expertise. If you wouldn't mind, I would like to consult with somebody who is more versed in this and get you an answer tomorrow morning. Would that be okay?
That sounds perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Wow.
Adjusted the timeline while you were chatting. Does this look correct for next week then for you?
It does to me. So now I'm kind of thinking that if we are going to meet and discuss the final report, discuss the interview questions, then would it be also okay to just create the list of questions and just post them to the commission itself, and then discuss in the meeting which questions we want to keep, which questions we don't want to keep.
So I think at least when we had that discussion in the last meeting, Masood, Kevin mentioned that we may not have like a shared Google Drive or things like that. But when we are discussing things, we can all take our own notes, right, to see what questions we want to ask.
Could you please clarify your request? Are you asking about driving direction?
Sorry about that. So let's plan on, like, so I would say come to that meeting, come to next week meeting with some idea of the questions that you want to ask. I'm sure many of us are thinking of similar things. We can discuss the questions there. We will need to create a list irrespective, I think, because that's the list we need to send to the people that we'll be interviewing. And I think that could be part of maybe Kevin Moore's part of the notes that Kevin takes for the minutes.
Thank you. That will work.
Okay. We are right on time. I'm surprised. So anything else for the meeting that we haven't covered, or any other open items or new items that any of the members wants to bring up?
I am not one of the members, but I did want to raise that there were a couple of amendments that needed to be evaluated. And so we don't need to do that right now, but I would love to be able to put that on the agenda. The concern being that we need to make sure that we're in alignment with our bylaws so that any decision-making is not questioned because it isn't in alignment.
Thanks a lot. I actually had the same question also. In the last meeting, we had discussed that there are a couple of amendments that we want to look at. I think our next week's agenda is pretty light. Would you guys be okay to vote on the amendments that they are planned? There are a couple of small amendments to the bylaws that are proposed. I would recommend that we get them offline so we can think about it. And then in the meeting, we can do a vote on that. Will that work for people? And in the same meeting, I think we should have time to ask any clarifying questions if some change is not clear. Okay.
I added that after the approval of the meeting notes, discuss and approve bylaws amendments.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And I'll circulate those ahead of time like that. That was done last time.
Great. Anything else anybody wants to cover? If not, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I can make that motion. Should be. I think we have covered all the agenda topics for today. I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Any second?
Second.
Thank you, guys. We have a motion and second to adjourn the meeting. Anybody has any objections? Okay, then we'll call this meeting done. Thank you, guys.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. See you next week.